India, a country rich in talent and art, has given us legendary personalities. On our next episode of Legends, CTBUH India and IDAC bring to you our next guest all the way from East India, architect Dalal Mukherjee of Dalal Mukherjee Associates, Calcutta. An artist at heart, he always dreamt of pursuing a career in art. His intrinsic sense of aesthetics and balance, individualistic philosophy helped him excel in architecture. Our interviewer this evening is architect Ayon Sen of Ayon Sen Architects, Calcutta. A distinguished architect himself, he is not just an admirer but also a dear friend to architect Mukherjee. I now welcome them both to walk us through the journey.
Hi everybody, we welcome you to this session, a conversation with eminent architect Shri Dural Mukherjee, Duralda fondly noted in this part of the country. Duralda of course is a mentor, senior and an architect of immense repute who's single-handedly laid the foundation of architectural practice as we know it in the entire eastern India. And many of our practices are founding itself on the stepping stones of his wide and founding career. So Duralda, tell me to start with, what are your initial thoughts on how you really started your practice, your initial years, some projects, your college life? I think we really want to hear about it formally in one structured format. We've had loose conversations with you, but this is a great opportunity to hear you out.
Thank you, Owen. I know since you graduated from SEPT, you're one of the brightest student in this part of the country and good, went to MIT. And I remember when you came over here to discuss with me whether you stay back there or you should come back here. And well, I insisted on this young people, young generation should come back here and whatever you have learned and contribute rather contribute to this eastern part of the India, which was really somehow have been facing a lot of problem of less exposure to architecture and in the initial stage of our life. Um, Almost sometimes we used to be ridiculed as friends, or they thought that we were only something, what do you call it, facelifting of a building. We used to be called a CC rather in the college days. So, and even in the society also, well, you were the son of a very famous lawyer. So the lawyers were the privileged with the doctors and engineers, civil or mechanical, not the architect. So you have got a long fight, and I really was one of the participants in that to establish architecture socially also over here to the government, and it was a long fight for almost 2 decades. We started IIA out of nothing, then interacting with the government on different occasions, the place, and they also helped a lot, the friends in the place. And ultimately boils down when the then chief minister, other ministers, all of them used to call us, Dulal or Dulal or whatever it like, please help us in conceiving this design or that design. It was a long fight. So you youngsters should be thankful to us.
Of course we are. And
That was one part, you know.
I think this whole setting up this stage, I mean, just in the building, the foundation is critical. You laid that foundation. So, can you talk a little bit about those struggling, tough years where not only were you struggling and creating your practice and your philosophy, but you were also founding the whole premise of architecture as a profession in this part of the country?
Yeah, well, say that my childhood and early to the schooling age, ending of schools, and then the college life, ultimately to the professional college life. So how, I mean, I will tell in a very brief thing. I hail from foothills of Himalayas, a place called Doers in North Bengal, famous for the tea plantations and the forests and the streamlets, rivulets, etc. So my childhood, initial childhood, till when I was 5 years or 6 years old, was spent over there. And it was embedded into me the appreciation of nature. And like nature is the supreme power. Wherever you see, nature is the predominant, and there will be some odd buildings on stilt, on very humble method of construction of wooden things, CGI sheet roofing, CGI sheet wall, and but all embellished with little bit of patch garden in the front, or the vegetable garden, or other gardens at the back. I mean, if I remember, after that, when I left, that my father went for a transferable service, we used to come every pujas during for Bengalis, Durga Puja. We used to come there because of my grandmother. So I remember when we used to leave the station, a quaint, beautiful station, very well, very vernacular. Then at a small, about maybe 500 meters or something, then through the railway buildings made of beautiful brick. Some of the buildings made of jack arch, that is vaulted, and exposed brickwork. Then maybe that also came to my mind. The buildings were not overbearing. And then all of a sudden in a corner of the road, we saw a small hut paints with poinsettias. Poinsettia is a lovely flower with red flowers. And Lakshman was a tribal person, he owned the house. So that was the point by which you know, oh, we have come to our house. Then we turned over there. So like that in my life, that was so dominant. Then we entered into a small 2-story structure. Height of the building was First floor was hardly 8 feet, maybe even low.
Mm.
That's empty. And then lot of scented flowers in the front garden. Small front garden.
So the way you describe it seems that you're completely involved in the nuances and the memories of your childhood, which is shaping your entire thought. You're talking about your pitched roofs and you're talking about your
Yeah.
little landscape, and is it sort of all of this influenced your life and work, and the very fact that you're talking about this today, it seems that it's really been an indelible part of your memory.
Yeah, that's true.
And how did it influence your early works?
In my early works when I started, first thing was in my college days, I was very much impressed, almost took my as guru. I mean, naturally I can't make him Frank Lloyd Wright. That is celebration of natural material.
And nature, and
nature.
integration with
And
nature.
nature. See, it's falling water.
So it's
or
logically that you kind of got attracted
So I
to
was
the-
always dreaming,
Yes.
and I reflect to those in our small place called Malbajar in Tours, or the Ghats of Benares, with that stone and the river with predominating factor. So these things all was in back of the mind, and Frank Lloyd Wright was back of the mind. Then even during the college days, the visit to Chandigarh, the visit to Ahmedabad with Sabarmati Ashram, where even the exposed concrete and the brick, real brick, not brick tiles,
Of course.
brick tiles. So those were the things which actually was behind my mind. So I was into that whatever I do, I will try to do a similar one. No concealment of natural material and celebration of nature in every way. Whether we are my first building being a temple building within a mango grove, mango orchard. So there you see the tip of the temple through the dense foliages. And even though we have been taught and seen in the books, while you used to draw the perspectives, tree was a big factor for giving you the scale. A tree in the front and the human being, and slowly tree is going at the back, dense, and we see the building, not a barren building.
Right.
So even for the embellishment of nature in improving that one. Even nowadays, when you make a room, beautiful interior, and it's not yet finished till you put a painting, till you put ultimately there is a flower
Sure.
in a pot. So that is the ultimate thing.
Right.
So that
So,
was
so nature, nuances of embellishment of nature in terms of how the building is responding to the context seems to be an underlying essence of your childhood. The very fact that you talk about it so much. So, when you talk about a few of your early works, which influences apart from the temple?
Yeah, yes. In the early, there was another small building which I made for build as a Bila guest house in a place called Triveni, outskirts of Bengal, on the river side. So there the prime thing is when we enter, we have the picture window I have learned, but I have never drawn it. So I will have a picture window. I climb up the stairs and see the river Ganges straight and the boats with your sails sailing over there. And I've seen that before building the building. I've seen that picture. So I'm arrested in that picture window. And over there also, I use this exposed brickwork and brickwork and concrete. But in my some other housing, one of the housing building, initial housing buildings, I have tried that. I have seen what are the problems. First thing it was I can't do exposed concrete in that. It's a high-rise building, say about 10, 11 story, 11 story. What I did, I told my, and those days selling price was 50 rupees per square foot. So in early, it was in 72, 74.
And you have to derive a perfect project in your dreams
Yeah.
with landscape and material, everything together in the price point.
So what was my condition that how to build that thing? One was that first we make the structure, plaster it, because of label. But during construction, it was very ordinary construction. Ordinary in the sense, we did not have any machinery.
This is a high-rise building.
High-rise building with bamboo, scaffolding, and wooden
And
flaming wall.
this is
No,
the 70s, late 70s?
in late 70s, not late, mid 70s.
Mid 70s.
Mid 70s, 74, 75.
Right.
So we told them make the total structure, then plaster it, plumb with plumb and etc. Then paint it also. And I will tell you why paint, because when you make the exposed brickwork at the later stage, the splash of color can be over there. It's smeared, the whole thing gets lost. Then making the inner wall here 125 millimeter or 5 inch used to call it. And during doing that, I remember the skirtings which are being made in the normal buildings, but skirting comes out from the wall also, looks untidy. So I made first the building vertical, put the brick vertically, making it 75 thick so that top layer floats out. But for the stability, I put other bricks, loose bricks, at the lower side. Then plaster, and this brick wall can be done without scaffolding for the economy. Then on the other exterior side of that wall, I plastered it and painted it white for heat radiation to avoid radiations. Then giving a gap, with the scaffolding on from the external scaffolding, we made the very good brick we used to acquire, and with the proper groups, spaces specially made. It was not a practice, so I have to teach your nations for doing that.
Yeah, it's almost like you're
casually.
crafting the wall section of the building,
Yeah.
keeping economy,
Yeah.
keeping aesthetics, keeping construction methodology which you are trying to reinvent in mind.
No extra, because extra paneling or extra this
Right.
thing cannot be done. The budget was not there. So that was the way, and because you have to love landscape garden, so my every building, right from those, even I think 69, 60, 70, every rooftop is well strong enough to take the load of the
Landscape.
soil, the soil load of 6 to 8 inches soil, and etc. etc. And I also to talk to my structural engineer, my friend M.K. Roy, and even consultant. So that was one. And the second was the grid. While designing these initial buildings, I was concentrating on the layout pattern of the flat. But with that, when you will put the columns at random, it's not in an orderly manner. So you lose the parking. Slowly the parking was in demand. So with discussion with Mr. Roy, we decided upon a great, minimum 5 meter by 5 meter clear space is available. 2 car parkings, double carriageway, and then I was solving that if each grid takes one room, moderately good size bedroom, and one toilet. So with that was the basic. And then after doing that, I tried to play a little bit with it to make it. I saw that lot of designs by people, graphic design, are in the graph, and then any design can be created.
And then they break the graph.
Yeah, break the graph. So I started breaking the graph, creating shades, providing on the western side, like a building called IDBA building, an office building. The western side, a lot of bricks are there. Like they're simply removing that wall on that part, make the floor a little bit sediment.
So the structure is exposed, but you get a little mass break in a certain sense.
In Babylon building.
Oh, Babylon is a lovely example of that.
Right.
Why don't you talk about?
So Babylon was again a building, high-rise building, in those early days. And my mind, all these days, without any guru, I was my self-taught person.
More. It seems to me that you're a product of the modern movement at some form, but yet you were very strongly nuanced with nature. While you played with the great and the whole world and the country was looking at modernism and its structural system, you kind of invoked the idea of soft details, of landscape, of terraced roof, of breaking the mass, of keeping nature. And I think Babylon is a project that I felt in your works was a certain departure. Would you agree to that? That Babylon kind of
Yeah, I think I'll
really
tell you. The little initially, what happened when I was being told to make a high-rise building, apartment building, over there, I was very much disturbed because that particular area of Alipur was a bungalow area. semi-detached bungalow. The rules were there, but slowly the corporation, they have become a little bit free about
Lenient about it.
lenient. Sorry, that's the right word. Lenient about that, and I feel very pained about it. And so I thought that I will create a building, then I have to create every apartment, I'll give it a garden. That was the goal. And how to do it? Making a garden means exposure to south, east, southeast, southwest, not the north, in Calcutta because it is above Tropic of Cancer. With that, I started the designing and with the grid intact.
Yes.
Because we need parking also. There is a basement, there is a ground floor parking. So the whole thing, with all these challenges, I've been able to create something. And
it's still a landmark today, honestly speaking.
Yeah,
I think that the timelessness of Babylon, in a way, it seems to me that in that whole regime of grade and demand of space and a structural system, or typical housing project, you've looked into the details and landscape in a way that the scales are broken, there are voids created, and it truly seems to be a point where all your initial thoughts of the church design and your Shantiniketan project is all sort of IDBR building and sort of coming together in Babylon. And I think that kind of creates your identity at some level to us next gen. That Babylon is a product of both making the grid and then deconstructing the grid, keeping the nuance of the landscape, which is your fundamental philosophy, together.
there is another not small, a big project. It was a competition project we won, Jalbayu Bihar in Salt Lake. This is a building. Now, Babylon has apartments were bigger.
Right.
It's about 2,000 to 3,000 square foot. For rich people because of being Alipur being the
And it's a single block.
locality.
And it's a single.
And then I was left in a competition. I should build an apartment complex where the apartments are 1,000 square foot and 800 or something like that square foot. But I was so inspired that I've seen that people they pine for when sitting out little bit close to the nature.
And this is a housing project of how many units?
I don't know, more than 10,000.
1,000 units. So it's a sort of a housing project
Big scheme,
with
yeah.
open
About
spaces.
5 or 7 acres
Right.
plot. So what I did, that I thought that I will give each and every flat with the consent of the client in terrace garden. That is free. Terraces are free. You can't charge. So it is technically there must be some cost involved. So I made a stepped form. It gave another advantage also. See a driveway and the parking on two sides. So 3 into 5, 15.5 meters, almost 50 feet. And then slowly it's going up. You get a pyramidal open space over here. The children can play. And in those days, everybody didn't have the cars. In future they might be having car. So that was a play area also, indirect. And everyone with 1,000 square feet get a free about 30 feet wide, maybe 6 feet.
So this all
200 square foot of
open space works as a
Open
car
space.
parking, as a
Open
community space, and you get more than just a tight unit. You
Yeah.
kind of create a sense of
in the
community.
small budget.
Sure.
And the flat cost of perhaps 1 lakh or something like that.
Unbelievable.
So-
And which year was that?
It was in early 80s.
Early 80s.
Early 80s.
And what do you think, where all these projects of coming together and this whole building up of the phenomenon of architectural practice in this area, what do you think are the few projects you would like to talk about where you depart from these foundation projects and which really starts defining? Would you a few in your name? And for me, Pricewaterhouse is one of my favorites. But do you have any other ones which you would like to talk about, which really pulls together your very intuitive practice? I would say, because you're not a theoretical person. We can theorize your work, but you as a professional don't really look at theory as much as you intuitively look at materials and nature and collectively gather things together. So,
You see, there are a few, initially I will mention the names. Like one was one of my big competitions which I won, an IIM project, Indian Institute of Management, Joka, hostel, boys hostel with individual single room, the same principle of Jalbayu Bihar. It was not in the clients need, but I provide them each a terrace, and the character of that courtyard becomes interesting with that staggered their corridors, almost engulfing it, crabbing effect, and in the center is a dining hall. And it was published. My first publication was with no, they can't name they. It was first magazine, architecture magazine, A plus D, and third or fourth issue, third issue maybe. Convent was the main architect in focus architect, and I was
And this is
there.
the 80s?
80s, all in 80s.
So you all remember our first publication, so I guess that's the.
Oh, hi.
I'm sure we've been published a million
Yeah.
times after
And those
that.
days are
But
only-
you remember the first
When
one?
we started, no publication.
Yes, yes.
So there was the first publications. It was published over there, and the temple which I made for the builders was published in an Indian concrete journal.
Lovely.
Lovely. So I mean,
I'm sure the concrete journal didn't really think of featuring a concrete temple. Just going backwards, I remember your little nuance of you ran out of the budget and how the DT was also in concrete.
Yeah, in that way, my first project was executed actually. There were 3 projects, but this was executed. A small temple for bearers near Calcutta, little outskirts of Calcutta. Budget was 50,000. It was a tough competition, sorry, not competition, sorry, all lot of discussions, and then it's a modern temple, the only modern temple for bearers. Other it's not decorative, it's plain, bold, simple, in a grove. 50,000 was the budget. 6 months is the time of completion. Not 50,000 and 1 rupee. Not 6 months and 1 day. And my fees was 6% at that time. Our Indonesian architects, your 8 of fees was there, and 3,000 rupees. And we completed it. And then to make again that small building to look big, and to bring the nature inside and the building outside. So you use 2 or 3 walls, long walls, with lot of intricate design created out of bricks, different patterns, graphical patterns. So I did that on those walls. So because economic, I don't have any stone, carving, nothing.
So nature, material,
Materials, yeah.
expression, keeping the budget tight, so all sort of starts coming together. And of course, you did the concrete DT. You mentioned about the
Yeah.
DT. You ran out of money. and-
DT was, yeah, there's no money, but DT was made out.
Wow, that's really true.
There's another small, I'm talking about my past, this small building I made for in Shantiniketan, 2 buildings rather, one part woman, girls hostel. So that was a small building. But before doing that, I went to Shantiniketan and studied Tagore's building and other buildings, small, simple, and but very low budget. I mean, no high quality painting, just cement, not cement, sorry, lime wash.
Wow.
The simple lime wash. And I tried to keep all that, there was a very wooded area. So I kept all the trees in the court, etc., without cutting a single one. And incidentally, that was being displayed in the festival India Paris. There was big exhibitions over there in late 70s. So that over there, I tried to make it that the building should not become a very conspicuous. It should not because that whole ashram area with trees and your other and that smaller buildings, single story, low heat, with a little bit of detailing and adaptation of some designs from our old architecture. Mine was being simple with Cairo. So I quite like that building in my own way.
It's one of your early works,
Early,
essentially. Right?
is my early work. And in geometric pattern, when geometric becomes a structural thing, becomes very, for me, it's very strong feelings. My church building, Don Bosco Church, Kalyani, in Kalyani, that was first I had A4. Still A4 was the most stable form. And now being a church, we will study a church. So there are a lot of different areas with different space areas, different heights.
Volumes, yeah.
Different heights.
Volumetric variation
Yeah,
is
there are variations. So I took creating different triangles, triangular space and interpenetrated into each other. And so that building, but again, the your externally your strong concrete beams and columns. Infill was exposed brickwork, generally no tiles, exposed brickwork and little bit of glass. I'm always little bit of what is restrained about using of the glass because our hot and humid country.
Yes, and that's why I kind of bring back to Pricewaterhouse project, because I think if I look at your middle works, PwC would be one of them, where you've really broken the grid here also, but in an angular format, opened up the front facade and used glass, but in a very restrained way. So it really stands out in the technology sector of our city, where every building is wrapped up in glass, and yours really has a very calculated, balanced effect of glass and mass, so that the aesthetics really pop out. A little more of that. I mean, I'd love to. It's one of my favorite projects.
Sure, I will tell you why. You see, right from the inception, like I thought, if I'm going to design a building on a Darjeeling on a hilltop, I'll have a lot of glass to bring sun in. If I have to do something over here, hot and humid, I have to have openings where breeze can come in. Now, sun is okay. You don't need it so much. If I have to do something down northwest, the windows will be less. The courtyards will be more. So cooling it. So these were the things which all the architects they studied. But I want to use it over in my designs also. That visually, you can think of visual now. Now office building, so you have got first little scope coming out of the typical apartment buildings where the opening and solids are also equal, extremely difficult
To
to
break it.
create a good, nice, balanced design. Like when you, in an interview, think of a room, big wall, one painting, solid and then brick. Even in, I've seen that in the northwestern part or in the Middle East, lots of solid wall with small punches of windows. And then all of a sudden there is a jalis or something like that. So these are the composition, sense of compositions, which we can apply a little bit over here. There is one. And during those days, first time this deconstruction was, being noted. So I thought,
But your deconstruction was really natural.
Yeah, natural.
I mean, you didn't
Yeah,
become
yeah.
a very
But it was
theoretical
functional.
person.
It's a functional. Because my whole goal is that form follows function, not the other way around. So it was very long, narrow plot. I made the grid that functional area. Entrance is right in the middle. The two wings, middle. You can't see the entrance from. I want to see a flat block. So after doing that, and then I have to see the orientation, east, west, etc., etc. You will find that on this side was perhaps maybe west. First thing I have to see the entrance, and then I slashed it. After doing I slashed it, and so that right from the entrance, a road, you can see the entrance, and then you go along that. You feel going towards entrance from the bigger garden, frontal area, slowly you are going over there. Then when you enter, I actually burst the whole space into different spatial way, creating opening like that. So that was with a little bit of water body. And using of glass wherever it is needed. Unless it's functionally needed in the room. So wherever it's not needed, I made this solid one. So this is a little bit of
This whole philosophy of grid breaking is a part deconstruction and part departure from modernism at some level. I mean, I'm just trying to sort of making my feeble attempt of theorizing your works, which is completely natural and inspired by nature and material and construction systems. But I feel that in Pricewaterhouse project, the corporate building, this whole phenomenon of grid breaking, use of material is coming now in an institutional sector. And I think you can start.
And big terrace garden.
And terrace gardens, of course.
With the main conference hall. That was ultimate. I have to do it.
Now, this whole fundamental simplicity, I mean, do you see your later practices where this whole burst of, our generation is faced of, it's a tough choice at times what material to use and what not to use. So how do you see some of your later works, or this, if I may call them later works, more where do you still stick to your fundamental thoughts, and how much does new material influence your your architecture currently or in the last couple of large projects?
Before I come to my little bigger projects, there's another small project which I like.
Yes, yes,
There's
of
a
course.
small bungalow I made for one of my friends in Shiliguri, foothills of again Himalayas. Uh, it was his second home, not the first one. And when you go to that area called Uttarayan, at the backdrop, you see all the hills. Even you can see in the better days Kaohsiung,
Yes.
the lights of Kaohsiung, and not Darjeeling of course, but there's a road.
But currently, after this whole pollution is
Maybe.
over, now you can see
Yeah,
the
yeah,
entire
maybe.
Kanchenjunga apparently
Yes,
from
maybe.
your this plot.
So what happens when you get initially the client was very much I must make something of that typical postmodern or that means almost an antique what I keep building just a minute. Colonial.
Colonial.
Sorry, that colonial type of building and hotspot of it. So I told my client I'm put my foot down. I'm not going to do your thing. Then somehow the friends they suggested him give him free hand. With that free hand, I was imagining that I'm going to almost that is my idea. I created a deconstructed in my own way, simple building, and show that even with the odd shaped rooms, little bit, not all, can be very functional. But there I was quite successful in gardens entering into the house coming out into the garden, a lot of terrace gardens, and my interior, expertise that almost creating a stair with steel and wood and little of glass, almost like a sculpture. So there, ultimately, and then little bit of relief with the slope. Whole thing is slope actually, with some solid.
And it's a single bungalow, which
A
is
single
it's an
bungalow.
iconic project in
Single,
some
yeah.
sense.
Not a very big garden, smaller garden. To make thing was ground floor was little smaller, upper floor is little
And you
bigger.
kind of use those as shaded
Yeah.
areas
Shaded areas
for landscape to come into the lower levels.
coming into the lower level.
Fantastic.
So that was that. And then, yeah.
So at that point, I would like to bring in, it's the right point probably to bring in Amar Badi, a project
Oh.
where you have
Right.
both your sort of scale of housing come in and at the same time the individual, the sense of material, it's all sort of, coming together
Amar
in
Bali,
one
again, yeah, really. One of my, because I remember my those younger days when we were built in doers, building were made of immediately available shalut and CGI, that's all. Here, when I was given this job, a resort near Shantariketan, about 8 kilometers off. When you go to those areas, you see the buildings in villages, single story, two-story structures with mud wall, sometimes brick wall, mostly mud walls, and then the roof, CGI sheet roof or no, thatch roof, but the beams were all made of palm, sections of palms, with plenty of palms available. There's a little dry area, so tal, we call it Bengali called tal, tal bukur. So you cut that thing and make it the beams and rafters, which are not extremely straight, a little bit, but those are very flexible because of fibrous nature. And that was one thing which was in my mind. Second was I was too much fed up with cement, so I had to go back to our olden days when the buildings were cooler by natural way. It was breathing. That I've been taught in some classes. I don't know, either here or might have I've gone to London for a course in heritage over there. I think 2008 I went. That natural bricks breathe. Your lime breathes, your sand breathes, cement doesn't breathe. It's a dead material. So cement building almost dies after 100 years. But these buildings remain for 1,000 years with a little bit of this. So I want to bring that. So these all buildings, no cement, and the client agreed, lime and sand and surki. Surki means your dust of terracotta bricks, brick dust. And even with eaves made of that thing, and then your Spanish tiles, locally called kapra or capre, we put that, and which was my inspiration was Geoffrey Bawa from Sri Lanka.
See, all your inspirations are people who really
Actually,
love nature.
nature.
I think
Yeah.
that's one sort of takeaway I can probably tie together from Frank Lloyd Wright's inspiration and your early works to
Nature.
Baba, who is really the founding father, I
Yeah.
think, of using this sort of natural material.
So if you have seen all plain 5-star hotels, your line wash thing, no ceiling, and so simple. Landscape was a predominant factor over there. Even there was a small lift by which next to a small pool, and even that fish, the boat, etc., almost touches your feet. I mean, those are the memories I've got about it, and I like it so much. So here, then my intention was that for emergency case, the roads will be meandering. It won't be in a very rigid pattern and no individual bungalows with no solid wall. It's a hedges, little bit of demarcation. That is our local thing. You have got a small kitchen garden at the back, and roads will be with your called mora, we call it mora over here. Small clinkers almost. It's a gravels, small gravels, locally available actually. Your color is red. Even in Shantinikantana sun is also that those roads
Right.
are there. It's again it brings water goes deep in, the trees become strong. Roads of that, and even the road, the keepers will crawl into that road. Center of the road is little slope down. I've seen in the villages when it rains, so it goes down like that. It's like a channel, and being collect somewhere. I also made some collection.
So your
of-
rural observation details come together in this.
Yeah.
Despite it's a real estate project, you bring in all the local nuances. I think what excites me a lot to see at one level you're working on a Amarbadi or the PricewaterhouseCoopers project, which is a steel and concrete building in the heart of Sector 5, which is the tech quarter. And parallelly, along with all of this, you're also looking at and constructing extremely large housing projects and the convention center. So your repertoire from the micro detail to the macro projects are seamless, particularly in your current few projects. So how do you sort of balance this whole scale and the, you know?
I don't know. Again, it's maybe the love of my state also maybe there. I'll give one small example. You haven't asked for it. There's one project which I liked and I was emotionally involved. Was it? I was doing a number of restoration projects in between. Because
Conservation projects.
yeah, on the restoration project. My inspiration was a project in Kathmandu. I saw the one project, small project, in Kathmandu, it's called Patan, in Patan.
Patan, yeah.
So I can make a quarter scope, but only I will be here. I'll make it brief. Only one project. First project was the same architect I employed as my consultant, a German American, and because we learned about that chemical analysis of the buildings, the plasters, mortars, these and etc. etc. But forget about that. Come to the one small project. There was a theatre hall in North Calcutta, which was a founder of the about 200 history is 200 years old. It got burned down. Theatre hall called Minerva. Because again, now in a totally broken, dilapidated construction, the famous actor, the stage actor, and later of course film actor Utpal, that was running over there. I've seen theatres over there, Ongar and etc. And one of these days, as I told you that this Indian Chief Minister called me and Dwal Babu, please restore this. Can you do it? Yes, my greatest privilege. It was a very small, compact area, but no fees. Okay, no problem. So, you see, even the fees could have been 30-40 lakhs. But as I forget about that. I mean,
All great
my
projects
contribution.
All great works comes with a passion
So,
and no
but
cost.
then what I did a research work on that from history. And one of my Sharmani Saha, he was previously working in I don't know what group or something like that. So from their thing, he took a full history of that. Because without knowing anything, you can't design. And I never designed a theatre in that way. So we made movies out of it. And there was movie wala or some genuine cinema cinema, major cinemas, and the budget I spent from my pocket. Those days about more than a lakh. And that was quite for me. So he interviewed different people, including Shobha Sen, the wife of Utpal Dutt and stage artist, and even your Taposh Sen was interviewed in that. And we made a movie, beautiful movies, still lying with me. And then I thought it's not enough. I had workshop with all theatre personalities, like from Shomit to Tapore, that and Taposh Sen on the light thing. Then a lot of other things. Present Madagal, the lady who died. Theatre, Hindi theatre used to do Hindi theatre. Very famous lady, Usha Ganguly. Usha Ganguly, there are about 18 people. I called one of my friends, organized it in Bengal Chamber of Commerce. We had that meeting, workshop, before doing anything. So I got everybody's note. Then I thought it's not enough. I went to London on my own expense. Went to London and stayed there. One of my English architect friend was with me. He helped me. So from the Globe Theatre, about 17 days, I saw each and every theatre hall. And he also made one theatre and the conservation. How to conserve it, how to leave it as it is. I mean, don't finish it like that. There are a lot of things I learned from there. Then I went to Scotland, and over there, there was a big warfare where the last fight between Scottish and English people was held, and there was a big Maidan, there's a little house where you go there, and there was a small movie for 10 minutes showing the history of that war, etc. I was impressed by that. So I thought I'm going to create that in my, something new I have to give. In that Minerva Theatre, I made one small audiovisual room also. Then we call it in Bengali Adda, or gossiping together. So even for this theatre people, we made a lift. I know that space is very small. Lift for your makeup rooms, etc. Green room. Only the defect was, in what I've seen over there, the backstage is 2.5 times than stage. But main thing is being done. Our backstage, even from there, is 1/4 of the stage. So that was. So we created that basement. There, the workshop, that workshop can be done, and rehearsals, etc., etc. So that was one project. And then on the top floor, he used to stay with Utpal Dutt, and that angle was also not good. I did a museum of Utpal Dutt. But the problem lies with architects. After we finish the job, we are thrown out. Nobody will. Then it is with the PW department. How it is going to has happened, how they have improved it, no idea. I've seen only one movie King Lear, but show it much later.
How would you probably, your entire body of works, how do you sort of see in this whole foundation the next generation of practices in Eastern India taking it forward, or what are your sort of message to the next generation at some point?
First thing, of course, definitely patience. Whatever had happened till my last latest one, convention center of Vishwa Bangla, Kolkata, or the assembly building of Guwahati, where we worked with a lot of consultants. Innumerable consultants. There was another pleasure, because it's not a one-man show. A building is not a one-man show.
And that's really happening now. It
never happened earlier.
Sure.
I know, while we made the stages, I took a lot of advice from the stage crafts, from the people, the consultants. But for you also, you must know that you don't know everything. Be humble, and this learning process is endless. From here till you die. It is never ends. And give respect to others. Even I have learned while doing interiors in my earlier stage from the mistris, polishers, carpenters, going to the shops, and you are too sophisticated for us. I don't know. People now come to us. During this, there is nobody.
Right.
We have to go to Chandni Chowk and select the material We have to go and you learn a lot. And you go to this workshop of those your interior executors and learn how the furniture is being made, how the wood works, what wood is this? This is teak, this is not teak. The white is badam. It's a false teak. But people used to cheat. If you go to certain shops, they used to sell badam. So, like that learning, going to the marble shops, learning what are the marbles. Then went with my clients to Kishanganj and your main area Makarana. Makarana, and then Udaipur to see the actual marbles, the queries. You have to be a man not only with your cars, but your ACs or this or discussions. You must go there, feel the material. I have learned. My one of the inspiration was St. Peter's Church, Michelangelo.
Michelangelo, of course.
Michelangelo, not Last World Life. The other one was there's a book on him. The Last World Life was for Van Gogh. I'm forgetting it. Whatever is that? I have read there that at night he used to go to the hospital, steal a dead body, and used to dissect it. And agony and the ecstasy is the book. Arvind Wallace.
Yes.
Not Arvind, he told somebody. So that's how his sculptures are so fantastic. I mean, even you see that
Patience, going to the depth of things, figuring out right from others, involving them into your own practice in life.
Listener.
So
Try to be
listen
a great
more.
listener.
Mhm.
Instead of talking, listener. And be humble means what I mean, you are making somebody. You are not a God. I am an architect, I know everything. No way. We have got certain knowledge. I need all other knowledges too. We can be really, organizer of all the knowledges, electrical, these days, technical knowledge, sky is the limit for technical knowledges. In that way, for you youngsters, be that. And well, you must be now, you are much smarter. You can talk, you are articulate. Whereas I am not articulate. I was being taught in small schools from Bihar, North Bihar, or in Bengal. No debating experience, nothing. And our only expression was the final year thesis. So we have got that drawback in us, but which you don't have. I've never been to outside. After 19 years, I went outside, courtesy convened when he said, Dural Singh is running. So I went out. Went out and saw I had lost my infinity complex. I was having terrible infinity complex in my earlier
If
days.
I look at this whole body of work, talking about nature, talking about, looking at structural grids, understanding material, whole scale of different projects from churches to housing to corporate offices to going back to nature in Ahmedabad or making signature projects like the Convention Center or any other large significant edifices in the city, and of course guiding us and making the foundation. What are your real takeaways apart from all of this in this whole current post-pandemic or rather pandemic stage, where how do we sort of operate now, and what are your directions? Everything seems to be a little in large tones of grey. How do you see the whole fraternity taking off from here, and what are your messages to all the viewers?
Well, you see, that's for one thing is a little bit of the lighter tone. You start relearning drawing board. What happened? This people architects say when this first lockdown, first I made my own lockdown, little earlier. So for the 7 days, they took some drawings and designs that to work at home, from work at home. I took something for myself. So lockdown from 7 days went for so many weeks. After say 1 month, they said their laptop, as in what is the language, hanging. Something was there. And okay, so they stopped working, couldn't work. And no communications. But I took a drawing, and only one day, with the help of my police friend, I came to the office to a few more things, and my hand drawing continued. So hand drawing I never failed. So I could do so much of drawing, and The technical people produce so much.
So we go back to your
it's for the
basics
fun sake.
essentially.
You can't go back.
Yeah.
You can't go back. You don't have to go back. There's a tremendous amount of scope you have got now, and to create any building, any design, any drawing. Speed, you can have the speed. With hand drawings, you can't have that much speed. It's even convention center whole interior, 80% was drawn by hand drawing, without any being changed into AutoCAD drawings.
Another one I was really intrigued to ask you is that apart from doing many credible projects and taking this part of the country forward in terms of architectural practice, how do you sort of see, let's say, in the next decade, how do you see the architectural practice of this part of the country being more pronounced, because the opportunities are a lot. However, it's not getting necessarily translated into that much of reality. And of course, there are few credible projects here and there, but on the larger scale, with the economic slowdown, with this post-pandemic era of practice, how do you sort of bring out of this, and how do you catapult back into our larger journey? Do you think that this is a short-term thing and it will all sort of fall in place, or it's like a game changer at some level?
No, I think it's definitely short-term thing. But one thing, this has shown that how powerful nature is. That's only not an architect speaking, a human speaking.
Of course, yeah, that's what
that we have neglected in general the nature. And we can do anything. We can go here, there, everywhere. And it showed that for so many months, not a single medicine also has not been able. We are simply like passive architecture, like passive power. You go to long term. That's a social disconduct like that.
Yes.
Something like that. Whatever is there. So this type of thing we're doing it. Naturally, you always think of the environment. You always think that whatever you are doing it will be a little more considered. This present probably maybe go for another 6 months, 7 months, maybe 1 year. The work will slow down. We have to survive. We have to fight for it.
So you think if we can survive for a year, we are back in the
it will be difficult. It will be difficult. Not where people are saying that your the salaries and etc. But you slice it a little bit, do it that way, or don't come till everything is normal. But again, I am not a socialist.
But architecture is a thought.
Will be slow.
Architecture as a phenomena is going to obviously go on, because pandemics and catastrophes come and go. But our profession is
throughout the history.
History.
Pompeii destruction was there. Again, it was rebuilt. It was rebuilt. And whole, that your Second World War, Japan was crashed. This year Europe was gone. Again,
so there's a whole word of optimism from Duralda in terms of not only taking a snapshot at its entire practice, but also encouraging our generation in terms of sticking to our guns and re-looking at the next decade, and maybe this pause, and hopefully this is just a pause where we have a time to ponder about ourselves.
Yes.
And then
right.
I think it's a great opportunity to catch up with you for so long, because we there's in our rut of running around, we hardly get a chance to.
Yes, you must think
pause.
What went wrong? I mean, when you are practicing then, whatever you are doing it right, are you too much of public relations, etc.? You are reducing your effort in the actual creation, and are you not considering hearing the people's demand, etc., and trying to work on with it, and you are getting some praise. Now you get tremendous amount of publications, and it hits you, making you soul-ended, or this no, never do that.
Right.
So the sky is the limit for doing better things, good things.
But more deeper probably. I mean, I probably felt there is a time for introspection. And kind of even think about this whole connect and where you started from and how do you want to redefine yourself in the current context.
Yes.
Because somewhere this has really made us think and think about our lives, think about our practice.
Yes,
and
that is your root. You don't forget your root.
And that's been so much consistent in your work, right?
Yeah.
Through. That's not swayed.
Even I have come back to my root.
Yes, of course.
This is after working in the main city, coming back over here,
it's a lovely studio that Duralda has set up in the neighborhood of Lake Gardens. In fact, this studio itself it has been a very sweet project where the whites the timber floor, everything sort of brings about a nuance of connected to the material. Thank you very much. On that note, we will end this conversation. Thank you, Duralda, for spending so much time and talking about all this. I mean, I can sit with you for a couple of hours and ponder, but
Yeah.
we have to conclude
We have
this
to
session
conclude.
somewhere. But I think what Duralda's conversation has set us thinking more about pondering and thinking more about where we will go from here. And so do look at his projects on the website, and thank you very much.